Hello everyone, it's your resident Viper main Jack here, and today we're going to be going over everything we know about Valorant's brand new map, Icebox. We'll be picking through every single frame of this trailer to show you guys what you can expect on the 5th Valorant map. We've uncovered where the bomb sites are located, the defenders and attacker spawns, what this map's unique gimmick will be, and so much more. With the new map coming just around the corner on October 13th at the start of Act 3, you don't want to miss this one. Before we start picking through this video with a fine-tooth comb, let's go ahead and run the map trailer for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Alright, let's be real, that trailer was sick. The first thing I want to start with here is the aesthetics and lore surrounding this map. While Valorant is certainly a multiplayer first experience, there is quite a lot of story and world building details all over the game, and that trend is definitely continuing with the release of Icebox. The first things to take note of are the setting. The map appears to be some kind of port or facility set into the glacial area of Earth. But we don't have to over-speculate about its true location, because in one of the many images shown in this trailer, we can see that our boy, our hero, Dan the Penguin, has his family inside the Icebox. As you can see here, this screen shows a penguin watch cam, and penguins are typically natives of the Arctic region, which is where I believe Icebox to be set. The other interesting lore showcased is the increased presence of the Kingdom Company. This whole facility and the submarine are all branded 6 ways to Sunday with Kingdom. The KNG on the storage crates is supposedly their abbreviation as well. So how does this play into the overall story of Valorant? Well, supposing that the Valorant protocol is sort of the rebellious response to the corporate overlords controlling the world, then maybe we as Valorant acquired this submarine and are using it for our own purposes to disrupt this Kingdom facility. Who knows? Valorant's story barely exists as of now, so really we're just trying to make guesses off the little information we have, but that's what you do when you break down trailers. Let's get into the stuff that you all came for though, and that's map details. So, the Kingdom submarine appears to be the attacking spawn. Towards the end of the trailer, we get a nice overhead shot of the whole map, and we see a team walking off of the submarine and spreading out across the map. We assume this to be an attacker spawn because of a couple of context clues. This map has a very standard grid for designing spike defusal maps, 3 distinct lanes, bomb sites typically on the outside lanes, with the middle lane acting as a contact point for the alternative entrances to those outside lanes. So how does that give us the submarine as the attacking side? Well, based on screenshots we'll cover later, we know that the top left area, when looking from this perspective, is one of our sites. With that, and its distance from the submarine spawn location being way too far for the defenders, this ends up having to be the attacking spawn. Digging a bit deeper into these lanes, looking towards mid, we see what appears to be an alternative route towards the outer bomb site here, as well as these boxes presumably allowing attackers to jump up onto the storage crate next to the building, letting them clear that angle from a height elevation. It's unknown from this position if this crate will also give access to a window or alternative entrance to the building itself. Heading down mid further towards the defense side, we see this area here that looks like a small ramp. It's hard to see clearly, but it's something that divides the lane towards the defense spawn in some way. Backing towards our attacker spawn once again, we can see what appears to be the short or fast lane towards the outside spike site. It looks like a very short path that runs along the storage containers and pops out the backside of the site. If we quickly jump to our screenshot of that site, we can see the diagonal containers breaking up this open area, which we can see the corner of from our overhead attacker perspective. The reason I say this is the short lane specifically is because all sites in Valorant have some kind of alternative entrance to avoid bottleneck choke points. And I believe that the alternative lane is through this door here in the spawn into the O1 building. I think it snakes through this building and opens up into the site through this very conspicuous garage door that we can see from our site perspective. This door here shares the same general design of the destructible doors on Ascent, that bright gray metal with a light in the center. So either this is a door that only the attackers can open up, or maybe it's a new type of door that opens based on when someone walks near it. We're just not sure. Lastly, from our attacker spawn, we see 2 doorways entering this main building. That's really all we can see from here, but this is obviously where the other site is situated, but we'll cover that more in depth in just a bit. Moving on, let's analyze some more about this outside site. Our main overview of it is from this screenshot we showed already. Based on the wires on the ground near these Radianite boxes in both Radianite and obvious grids drawn on the ground being the markers of the plant regions, it's safe to assume that this area here is where the spike will go down. What's not clear is whether you will be able to plant inside of these open cargo containers or even on the second level. I would assume that the second level is off limits, as it would probably be a nightmare retake in my eyes, but it's certainly possible. Now, we've talked a lot about how the attackers will enter the site, but what about the defense? Well, the defense appears to be able to enter the top of this container through a bridge going out the back. Later on in the trailer, we see this bridge and the back of these containers, but you can also see the bridge barely from this main POV we've been using. With this shot of the bridge from underneath, we can also see what appears to be an entrance for the lower side of sight, as well as a drop down from a doorway to get into this lane we're flying through in this shot. More on that to come. Our last interesting look shows us the plant area and the containers in much more detail. We see a zipline as an alternative way back up to the second level, as well as this giant corner that attackers will have to deal with while coming down an incredibly narrow lane themselves. I think nanoswarms and other grenade utility from Phoenix, Brim, and Rays will do very well on this site, just judging by these claustrophobic angles near the spike plant. Before we move on to the interior site, one minor point to cover is the giant wrecked ship outside the map. We don't know the lore implications of this yet, but to me it looks like a very old wooden boat with architecture that strikes me as Asian inspired. But that's just a complete shot in the dark, and we really have nothing to go off of as to whether this is an Easter egg to something or a piece of the story Riot wants us to pay attention to. We also saw quite a bit of an interior area that seemed out of place for the bigger buildings shown in the overhead views. It looks like a home area, showing a kitchen, a bar to eat, and other amenities like a vending machine. We figured this area is an interior of these buildings towards the top left from our attacker overhead view shown previously. Mostly because of this door here that connects to the drop down that we had also seen, and what appears to be the same window structure shown from the interior shots. Now functionally this is just a lane for the defense to be able to get to the outside site, but there's a lot of cool environmental detail here, like the screen on the bar area showing information for the workers or scientists here, including the very necessary for workflow penguin cam. To the kitchen area being sort of abandoned with pizza boxes left out, a perfectly good slice of pepperoni and cheese left to be sad and uneaten for all time. Milk to slowly become cheese because someone clearly grabbed milk and a cola and had an argument with themselves about which they wanted, finally decided, you know what, I'm not even thirsty, then just leaving both out to rot. Zooming in on this corkboard above the sink, we see what we think might be a new gun buddy as well. It looks like a robot head, so maybe it's something like the GUN skin bundles buddy. We also have a blurry picture of what looks like a person posing with a bike. Which, have you guys noticed how many times bikes appear in Valorant? They are absolutely everywhere, and I'm not sure why. And then most obviously in this room is the gigantic K symbol, showing that whoever lived here was definitely working under or for the kingdom. Jumping over to what we believe to be the interior of the giant building as well as where the other site is located, the first thing of interest to point out is this weird power room shown briefly in the trailer. Now, we don't believe this to be a gameplay affecting area, but it looks like an area housing power cells or batteries of some kind, so maybe they are either the target of the Valorant protocol teams, either to be taken or destroyed by the spike detonations. Also, this bit of an angled box that's closer to us as the camera pans in corresponds, I think, to this main look at the area inside the building. We believe this main area with the horizontal zipline to be the other side itself, and this power cell room may be off to the side of the site as more environmental detail. Moving directly into the main room itself, obviously we have the first introduction of horizontal ziplines, which presumably will let you traverse this gap from window to window without dropping down to the main area. Whether you can shoot at all or accurately remains to be seen, but what makes me think this is the other site location is the sheer detail and cover of this area, as well as these blue lines on the floor. Valorant is very consistent about floors with boxes or rectangles outlined on them usually being plant zones. But we could be wrong on that. Some other things to note here are the corridor in the back that may connect to this main window area, as well as this vertical zip that also appears to connect to this window room. The last thing I want to point out is this very suspicious vent at the top right. This vent is huge and looks like an agent could crab walk commando crawl right on through it. Volcano is no stranger to ventways in his Counter-Strike map, so maybe Icebox is the first map in Valorant to feature multiple gimmicks. We've seen possible destructible doors, the horizontal zips, and now this man-sized vent. Alright, so that's all we got from our in-depth breakdown, so what can we glean from all of this? I think Icebox will be a considerably smaller and more claustrophobic map than what we've been seeing in Valorant. It's very comparable to Bind, where I fully expect attackers to be able to get to sites within seconds of the round beginning. The layout is very tried and true, and the potential sightlines that Riot are trying to create here are quite interesting. All in all, I expect Icebox to be better received than Ascent at launch just because of its on-the-surface aspects that seem much more straightforward than Ascent's big, wide-open layouts. Now, obviously it's straight out of left field to be getting Icebox on the 13th. Riot said at the launch of Valorant that we could expect maps at the start of episodes and not at the start of acts. Currently, we're still in episode 1, and the fact that a second map is being released under the same episode throws that potential content flow into question. But we got clarification from Riot employees shortly after the reveal. Riot Altambre and a few other employees let us know that they had intended to release Icebox at the start of episode 2, but decided based on community feedback that they needed to add a map to Valorant sooner. I mean, this is simply great to hear that Riot aren't hard set on their content release schedules and are listening to what the community wants and doing their best to deliver that product. But this does raise the question of whether we will be getting a new agent to go along with this map. It's hard to say, but based on all of these leaks related to Icebox and his obvious synergies to the new map, I think it's still likely we get a new agent as well. We'll just have to wait and see, with still a whole week between now and Act 3's launch. And that's all we have for news today. If you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. So, what do you guys think of Icebox? Are you excited to have another map to keep the Split and Haven away? Or are you just ready to embrace the chaos of discovering a new metagame from scratch? Let us know in the comments down below. While you are down there, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more premium videos just like this one, with one goal in mind: to help you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.